When I was 6 years old, my mom was diagnosed with late-stage cancer. Her doctors told her that she had up to 3 months to live. As a 6-year-old, I didn't understand completely what was happening, except that I was going to lose my mom because the doctors were so sure there was absolutely nothing that could save her life. But my mom was very strong. She kept asking, why did God give me a little child to raise when I'm not supposed to live long? Then we had a neighbor, a very kind neighbor, knocking on the door, telling us that there is this wonderful Qigong Master who happened to be coming to our city to teach Qigong work classes in spite of her horrible condition. So she brought to this classroom every day to take the class. And by the end of the class, she was literally glowing again, straight, and walked like a normal human being. You're not going to die anymore, right? She said, I feel really good. I feel as healthy as I could ever remember. Because the whole time I was thinking, should I die with her? Should I walk into the ocean and just, let the water take me? Or jump into something? I was thinking of all the ways possible that wouldn't be horrible, wouldn't be like really painful. And now I thought, now I don't have to worry about that. I can live. So it kind of saved both of our lives.
Hi, my friend. How you doing, Po?
What's going on, Rak?
I'm very good. And I'm excited to share this conversation today with everyone. Po, what do you know about Qigong?
Rak, I know nothing about Qigong.
Qigong. Qi, have you heard that word Qi before?
I have, but I don't really know what the meaning is.
So it's a Chinese word. It means breath, actually literally means breath. And it also means energy or life force. And so it's interesting because as you take in a breath, you're also kind of taking in that life force. And Qigong is, as we're going to learn about in our conversation with our guest today, is a way to manipulate that energy. So today, I'm thrilled to introduce our conversation with Cathy Mu. Cathy's someone, Po, I met actually through a good friend and a friend of the pod, Jay Chodagam. And Jay, as many of you may know, has graced our show with his wisdom and insights on meditation. And it was really through his connection that I was able to meet Cathy and bring her for this remarkable conversation that we're going to share with you today. So, Po, Cathy's journey is really, really incredible and inspiring. It sheds light on this practice of Qigong that intertwines the ancient and the modern, and I would say the physical and the spiritual. So we delve into the world of Qigong and energy healing, really guided by Cathy's extensive knowledge and her personal experience, which starts with this really incredible story of resilience, her mother's incredible journey recovering from late stage cancer. After she learned these practices of Qigong. That event really shaped Cathy's life, and it ignited this passion that she has for sharing the benefits of Qigong with others. And Cathy is also a CPA, a certified public accountant, and a financial advisor. And it's this unique blend of her financial background and her deep knowledge of Qigong that I think is just enlightening. And it's this interplay between health and emotions, and in line with traditional Chinese medicine, how it relates to different organ systems. Her perspective uniquely bridges the gap between modern professions and ancient wellness practices. And I think one of the most compelling takeaways from our conversation is her advocacy for a more integrated approach to healthcare. She weaves stories of those who have found solace and healing in Qigong with Western medicine's skepticism of alternative healing methods. Cathy's insights urge us to consider a more holistic view of health, where practices like Qigong are recognized for their potential to complement conventional medicine. So wherever you are, you might be driving home at the end of the day, maybe you're taking your dog for a walk, maybe you're ending your night. Get ready to be inspired and informed as Cathy Mu takes us on a journey through the transformative power of Qigong and the importance of understanding and harnessing our energy. Let's do the show. Welcome, Cathy. Welcome to the Health
Thank you
Beat.
so much,
It's
Dr. Rak and Po.
Yes, and
Nice
Po
to meet
meet
you.
Cathy. Cathy meet
Nice to
Po.
meet you, Cathy.
Nice to meet you, Po.
So, Cathy, really excited to have you on today. I just wanted, we already shared in our introduction about you and a lot about your professional history, and you're going to get into what we like to call your origin story. But I met you just recently. I met you, I think it was the beginning of
Right.
August. Yes, it was the beginning of
Uh-huh.
August. I know. And at a mutual friend, Jay actually Chodagum has been on our podcast.
Yeah.
So, and I was just
I like
telling
his
Poe, I spoke to
REP.
him. RPM, RPM,
RPM.
rise, pee, and meditate. I think about that like every morning now. Yeah. And so he introduced me to a couple people that night, actually 3
Uh-huh.
people, and he was very
Yeah.
intentional. He was like, I want you to meet this person. And then like 20, 30 minutes later, he was like, I want you to meet this
Mm-hmm.
person. And then the last person he introduced me to was
Uh-huh.
you. And, he doesn't say
Uh-huh.
why. He just says, you two need to talk to each other. Right? And then we started talking, and I was just entranced by your story and kind of what you're doing in this life. And I think there's something to be said about your energy. And I'm sure you're going to talk about
Uh-huh.
energy and get into that significance in our life. But I could feel it that night when I met you, so much so that I was like, we talked for like 5 minutes, and I was like, Cathy, will you come on my podcast? I just feel like this is something I want to explore and share with more
Mhm.
people. And I told Poe about you, and here we are. So that's my roundabout way of saying how we met, but I'm really excited to have you here
And
now, 2 months later.
yeah, it's great to be here with you guys. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited about this. I always feel like I'm someone who kind of am very intuitive when it comes to people's energy, or I think the kids nowadays call it vibe.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like and I think that's the new term now that they call it. But like, I always get, when you're around certain people, people are energetic. There's some people that my wife always says, hey, people are always drawn to you. I always notice that, and I always I'm always curious about that. And and then also, if you're in an environment where there's a lot of negative energy, and I like for you to speak to that.
Mhm.
But I was just kind of, I read it, I was talking to Rock about you, and I was like, man, I had a few questions that were coming up for me that I'm looking forward to sort of asking you about this. And I'm sure there's others out there that are also interested in this too, who are maybe sensitive to energy, other people's energy,
Mhm.
right? But yeah, so I'm just kind of looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you. Me too.
So, Cathy, I thought you'd start by just taking us back to your childhood. That's how I got to know you when we met a couple months ago, and I think that story is a beautiful story and just very telling of what has brought you to where you are today.
Yes, I'd be happy to share that story. When I was 6 years old, my mom was diagnosed with late stage cancer. She went through all treatments that we knew of at the time, including Western medicine and even some traditional medicine. In the end, her doctors told her that she had up to 3 months to live. And she was sent home to take care of her matters. And that was it. As a 6-year-old, I didn't understand completely what was happening, except that I was going to lose my mom. And I didn't understand the word cancer, except it was the worst thing on earth. So as we were preparing, for the funeral, because the doctors were so sure there was absolutely nothing that could save her life. But interesting it was that my mom was very strong, and she respected the doctor's opinions, but she kept asking, why did God give me a little child to raise when I'm not supposed to live long? And the doctors thought she was being funny, well, no one wants to die. Everyone has many reasons to live, but yet we see many people dying every day. Then we had a neighbor, a very kind neighbor, knocking on the door, telling us that there is this wonderful Qigong Master who happened to be a MD, a medical doctor, and a traditional Chinese medical doctor, in addition to being a Qigong Master. And he was Dr. Pang. He was coming to our city to teach Qigong classes. And my mom said, that's it. That's what's going to save my life. She knew a little bit about Qigong at the time, but not a whole lot yet. So she, in spite of her horrible condition, she could barely, at the time, she could not even stand straight because the cancer already went into her spine and pretty much everywhere. So she was crawling in order to move from A to B. So she crawled to this classroom every day to take the class. And I didn't know exactly what was Qigong, what she was doing, except she was trying something new. And by the end of the class, I could see her colors, returning to her very pale skin. And she was, rosy, and she was literally glowing again and straight. Most importantly, she was straight. And she could stand, straight and walk like a normal human being. And I said, Mom, what happened to you? You're not going to die anymore, right? She said, I feel really good. I feel as healthy as I could ever remember. Let me go back to the doctors and, make sure. So the doctors were really puzzled. They were like, what happened to you? Were we wrong? Was the, equipment wrong? Like, we see no cancer now. So I said, my mom said, that's how I need to hear. So she came home and we were relaxed again, and we, knowing that I could have a mom, because the whole time I was thinking, should I die with her? Because, as a 6-year-old, and I had no friends outside the family. And the time in China at the time was very dark. It was very scary, losing my mom, who was my best friend. I couldn't imagine how I could even survive or even wanted to live. So I was thinking, should I walk into the ocean and just, let the water take me, or jump into something? I was thinking of all the ways possible that wouldn't be horrible, wouldn't be like really painful. And now I said, my mom, I thought, oh, now I don't have to worry about that. I can live. So it kind of saved both of our lives. But I didn't tell my mom because I didn't want to disturb her. So the thought was there for a few months when we were preparing for her, final day. So my mom said, honey, you should learn this. And I said, yes. What is it though? What is it? Is it an exercise or is it a medicine? What is it? My mom said, it's a way that we can all work with our qi, which can be loosely translated into energy. It's prana, right? In India, people use the word prana. It's more than energy. It can be translated into as simple as your breath, all the way to your life force, right? So it's not just yours, it's what's inside you and what's outside. What's here in the three-dimensional universe and also the higher dimension. when you are in tune with the universal qi, the universal prana, the universal life force, you are healthy, you are happy, you are abundant, you can be what you are meant to be. You have everything you want and be everything you are supposed to be. So that's the power of qi, working with the qi and cultivating qi. So my mom said, so I said, oh, cool. So if I ever get what you have, because, subconsciously, if your mom has cancer, you probably have that gene, right? You might one day get it. So I said, okay, so now I know there's something I can do if I ever get the same thing, right? My mom said, wait, don't wait until you have it. Do it now so you will never have it. Prevention is better than cure. And also, you always love to help others. Even with the little friends I had that I went to, kindergartens with, went to school with, I always offer help. Whenever they were hungry, I would give them my food. And my mom said, this is something much better than food. It's life-saving. I said, well, I don't know if I can save anybody's life because I'm not a master type. Didn't I come from your tummy? Because in my mind, I thought those powerful Qigong masters were kind of some kind of angels, who drop from the sky, literally, So my mom said, I think you have the qualities, you can at least learn and see what happens, right? So that's how it started. And I went on, studying with different Qigong masters while I grew up and went to school as my main thing. Going to school was my main job. But whenever I heard of a great master coming to us or living in some mountain, I would, go and check it out. If I feel they're safe, it's one thing to be powerful. It's another to feel that they are safe, kind, compassionate, and loving as well. Because some master can be really kind of scary, they can play like a black magic or something on people. I don't want that. I was lucky to be very intuitive because all the masters I studied with turned out to be great human beings, and they were later in a documentary many, many years later, and they were rated like a really, really excellent. But I didn't know. I was just going by intuition, how I feel about their energy. And that was a blessing to have that, journey while growing up.
Incredible.
Thank
Incredible. Po, I mean, have you
Yeah.
heard such a thing?
No, that's an incredible story. Yeah. We were talking when you were saying that, when you're my question is like, so one part that really what I heard was when you were thinking about when your mom was sick, what you were gonna do if your mom was, like going to the
Yeah.
ocean. And I thought, wow, man, that to be that young and to be able to process
Mhm.
those thoughts, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? My question was, do you encounter a lot of people that are aware of this type of energy, or do most people that come to you already are in tune with their energy? They're just seeking more guidance. I mean, how does one, because I feel like, I guess some of the people that I know, they're not necessarily in tune with that,
Right.
that they have their own see, in Polynesian culture, we call it mana. It's called mana.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And that's something that, that when you were talking about this sort of life force,
Mhm.
when you encounter people like, I'm just trying to figure out whether the best question to describe, are most people generally unaware of their own energy or
It
their own spirit, I
seems
guess?
to be, especially in the West, right?
Mm,
So, in my mainstream job environment, I'm a CPA and financial advisor. So when people come to me, of course, they don't know. Most people don't know what I do
yeah.
on the other side. So they will say, "Oh my God, I have, especially Dr. Rak, you can relate to this. I have doctors who come to my office at the end of the day, and they are exhausted. They probably had a long day, right? And they will go, did you put something in my tea? Because all of a sudden I'm not tired anymore. I said, how dare I put something in your tea without telling you, right? That wouldn't be legal.
Yeah.
And I said, and they will say, what is it? Is it your personality? Because all of a sudden the tiredness is gone, and they're happy again, because they will be like one female doctor would be like cursing at her husband for making such a late appointment out knowing she had a very long shift. She's like, my stupid husband,
Yeah.
I don't know what he was doing. I'm exhausted. I don't want to talk about money. And then they were like, hey, I'm like, I'm full of energy. What is it? So, for the right people, I would say, maybe you can come to my workshop on the weekend and figure out yourself, especially if they need some kind of exam. Suppose they need some kind of life insurance or disability insurance, as part of the financial planning, right? They were like, yeah, you know what? I'm kind of overweight. I don't feel that good. I said, maybe a quick fix is to come to my workshop just to see if it can help you. Then you don't have to try anything that's external, any substance, not even medicine or even herbs, right? It's just energy. And it's not cheating to the insurance company either, right? So you're just working to be healthy. And
Right.
it's surprisingly, a lot of them, I have one doctor who lost 20 pounds, like very quickly to be eligible for the type of insurance she was applying for, which was long-term care in that particular case. And other people who, had various problems, their numbers went to the right range. And they were just like pleasantly surprised, like, what is going on? Yes, so it's true. And your energy does affect not just your health, but your relationships with friends, with family, with spouse, especially. And this is something you can work on yourself without convincing your spouse, for example. Suppose you think she's the one who has problem, not me, right? And with most people think it's her problem. He's the one who has a problem. She's the one. I'm the perfect one. But you can
Right.
work on yourself, energetically working on your loved one with all pure loving intention, without manipulating anything, right? And all of a sudden they feel like, oh my God, you are so wonderful. I don't know what you are doing, but they back into their lovey-dovey relationship again. With patients as well, Dr. Rak, I'm sure, look, because there's an emotional side. Whenever someone has a physical health issue, there's a manifestation of a negative emotion as well, right? If you have a kidney problem, in traditional Chinese medicine, we don't look at an organ as a separate thing in the body. An organ at a minimum belongs to a system, like the kidneys belong to the kidneys and bladder system, which also includes the entire reproductive organ system, So if a person, like in my mom's case, her cancer was in her reproductive organ, and typical emotion is fear. Like you are just afraid of things for no particular reason. It even reflects in their language. They would typically start a sentence by, I'm afraid. I fear, without knowing it. Little things like they will be afraid of a person they meet for no particular reason. And for liver issue, issues in the liver and the gallbladder system, a person will be angry, like for no reason particularly. So the two would promote each other. Like the angrier you are, the worse your liver and the gallbladder will be. And the unhealthier the liver and gallbladder become, the angrier you get. So I, always remind my students to be compassionate. If someone is angry at you, remember this is a health issue, not just a personality issue, because we label that as this person has a terrible personality because he has a bad temper, right? And if a person is, cheerful, happy, and they say, oh, she has a great personality, it's not just personality. It is health. Just that actually can help us become more compassionate, whether we are doctors or not. Even we are just average human beings. If you remember this person is sad, depressed, oh, she or he might have problems in the lungs and large intestine system. This person is worried all the time and think a lot, like overthinking all the time. The person probably has a stomach issue or spleen issue or pancreas issue. Think of the
Wow.
genius who overthink. They might wind up with pancreatic cancer. So it's always like a part of the holistic thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kathy, so much of this resonates with me personally. I used to have obesity and prediabetes, and I always think back to what started my journey to better health wasn't changing my diet, wasn't changing. It was when I started 10 minutes of silent meditation in my car before I would go home. And what I would do in those 10 minutes is actually really connect with how my body was feeling. And on a certain level, then now it's evolved to the point where my meditation has become an opportunity to connect with that inner energy and also kind of modulate it with the breath,
Yeah.
right? And as you said, like the chi is energy, but it's also the breath.
Right.
And so the breath becomes this powerful way to sort of modulate it. And then the other changes came later, but I always remark how the first thing I noticed in my life was that my wife and my daughter said that I was in a better mood and that I was bringing more positive energy home with me.
Right.
And that shift then cascaded to changing my relationships, not just at home, at work, and then everything else started changing too.
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing I wanted to just reflect on, and I've shared at Po, obviously, well, our listeners know this because we did an episode recently on me processing sort of my wife's diagnosis of breast cancer. So one, I'm curious, like where that sort of energetically lies, like what emotion sort of ties in, because it's so interesting that you're saying like these
Yeah.
different organ systems tie into different emotions. Does the breast sort of fall in line with the chest and the lungs, like you were saying?
Actually, the breasts are part of the reproductive organ.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So therefore, it
Which is
falls
fear.
into fear. Yeah. Typically fear.
So I'll share that my wife has, since she got her diagnosis, she's been sort of very regular about getting up early and doing an hour, sometimes an hour of sitting quietly. And what she's been doing in those sessions, in those moments, is like connecting with these different emotions and really working on letting them go. And when we first got the diagnosis, she had an MRI and the cancer looked one size. It looked, a little over 2 centimeters. And then when she had the surgery a month later, they said, no, actually it's 1.4 centimeters. It had shrunk. I mean, none of the doctors agree with me because my reaction was like, wow, you have released something energetically and this cancer has gotten smaller. And they're all like, no, sometimes the imaging test is off. But I think MRI is sort of our gold standard. So if it was 30% off, I think that wouldn't be a good test. So your mom's story is just incredible in that sense. Like when I think like, is that possible? Everyone's saying, no, that's not possible. No, that's not possible. And then I hear, it's crazy because I met you 2 days before, and I always believe that, nowadays, especially like everybody enters your life for a reason.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Yeah. Good. Even, we everyone you meet probably had some kind of karmic relationship with you over the eons of time, not necessarily this lifetime, right? And even bad things, like negative things, happen for a reason. Like in my case, had my mom not gone through what she went through, I wouldn't have been interested in Qigong, because I probably, as a young person, I probably thought, even after that, I thought, Mom, that's for older people or for sick people. I'm young and healthy. I don't need to learn that now, do I? It looks boring to me because, I like dancing and singing. I mean, you don't know what they're doing. They move slowly, and it's not fun. But I know, it's not true, because even a younger person needs to be proactive with their health. And also, health has a scale, right? Health is not just free of disease, right? It's vitality, high energy. It's also, you should be able to heal others, not without necessarily knowing it. When in my financial office, I would have clients accuse me of having done something, because I have a policy like, if you are sick, please stop, do not cancel your appointment, but tell me, give me 2 days advance notice, so I can, fill in my calendar for other clients on my wait list, right? That's fair. And because I said, I'm not afraid of anything, getting anything from you, but I don't want to pass it to my other clients. Because, I just shook hands with you, hugged you. And then if you have anything on you and I see another client, I may accidentally pass that virus or whatever to my next client. That wouldn't be fair. So, but sometimes they will have something within that 2 days time window and they wouldn't cancel. They would just come in and they said, Cathy, last time I was sick, while we're talking and laughing, my sickness went away. You must have done something. I said, no, I swear I didn't do anything. And later at the time, I was asking my teacher, I said, it's possible, because, there are too many people who ask me, is it a coincidence? He said, well, that's, the feature of one of the features of a true healer, because you don't have to put on a show and do this or that, your presence can heal people. Your energy can, because energy is kind of, I don't want to use the word contagious with COVID, contagious, such a scary word, but it is transmittable, right? Very much right. So. When you're, you may have,
it's wavelengths.
Huh?
Yeah. Wavelengths of energy. Right, exactly. And you're sort of,
we are all one. It's not just like an empty talk. We're not. A lot of people, especially in the West, people don't quite get, some people don't quite get the collectiveness in its true sense. It's, it's to some people, it stays here in the head, like, oh yeah, we are one, sure. But, I'm not you, you're not me. It's easy for you to say, but it's true. Energetically, we are one. So if one feels pain, right? The other one, if you're sensitive, if you're tuned in with the energy, you can feel it. And that's one thing people who, some people would say, I want to be like you. How can I be like you? I said, are you ready to feel the pain of others? Because it can be really something serious, right? So I had a student who came in. At the time, I was translating for my teacher, assisting him. I was a certified instructor, but not a master yet. So this blind person who had two forms of cancer and very severe diabetes. And because of diabetes, she lost her sight, right? So she came to the classroom looking for me because she was here last time and she liked my energy. And she didn't even know my name, right? So she was trying to find my voice from the crowd, which was probably very challenging. And she finally found me. And I naturally, hugged her and held her hand because she couldn't see, and tried to help her find a seat safely without her bumping into something. And she said, oh, it's you I'm looking for. I said, why are you looking for me? She said, I need you to help me with my credit card. I said, oh, I don't know you. You don't know me. I don't want to touch your wallet. If something is missing, I don't know,
Yeah.
right? And she said, no, I trust you. I said, are you sure you are looking for me? Because I don't really know you. She said, no, I know you. You don't know me. I know you. I know I can trust you. I said, I have a thing about touching people's wallet. I don't even touch my husband's wallet because I want everyone to have their own private corner, right? So I finally found the person who drove her here. I said, oh, wait, who drove you here? Because, you can drive. She said, oh, she's in the bathroom. I said, well, I can wait. She's looking for her credit card so she could register for the class, But anyhow, so some people are very sensitive to energy. Others are not, And when we are, I'm sure you both have had the experience of feeling good, coming to work, and all of a sudden this coworker comes in to complain, to even curse at someone, to talk about anything that that's negative, right? And all of a sudden you feel like I'm exhausted. If you're not aware, you might think, oh, maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe I'm just supposed to be feeling tired, right? But you don't know what happened to your energy. It's called, energy vampire, right? They just suck your good energy out of you, and they walk away. They may feel a little better, but you feel terrible, And also, there are some people who are, in the name of being honest, they will say, Paul, you look terrible today. Did you not sleep last night? You were feeling fine before that, and now you feel like maybe I'm really sick, right? So because it's a hint, right? And so now you are in tune with the lower frequency of the universal energy, and you like by noon you're like I need to go home because I'm sick now, right? And they have actually done scientific researchers have done research on it, like intentional, like let's just say this to Paul, like one person you say that's a negative person, I'm not listening to her, right? Another person come to you, you say, maybe I'm really not looking, you go to the bathroom, you check, oh, I do look pale today, right? And then the third person comes to you, you really believe in that, right? So that's the power of words. Qi is in words, qi is in thoughts, qi is in things, qi is in human beings and animals, and qi is in everything. So yeah, you pick up all this low frequency and you wind up being really sick. And you might even start vomiting, for no reason. You didn't have any, bad thing in your food. You start vomiting. Conversely, the other side is true. If you are not feeling well and everyone is coming to tell you how wonderful you look and, how they appreciate you, and all of a sudden those bad feelings are gone, right? And it's not just like a woo-woo stuff. It's real. More and more scientists are doing research on this kind of thing and prove that it's real. Just because we can see air, it's real, right? We can see electricity, until the light is off. It's always there in the transmitters, right? So I think more people need to be aware of, this.
Cathy, yeah, well, I was going to ask you actually, like, so many people, like you said, especially in the West, we're not aware of our sort of internal energy, or maybe energy that we're giving off, the energy that's coming from others. What's like a simple practice that somebody who isn't could start with? Like maybe you could even guide us through that now.
Okay.
If you would be open to that.
What a simple thing is, first to be aware the importance of breathing, right? So when we are busy, we take it for granted that we can breathe. We don't have to put a thinking into it, like now breathe, right? So, but be aware, are you doing deep breathing, or are you doing chest shallow breathing, even throat breathing? The deep breathing comes from your lower dantian, which is below your navel, right? So deep breathing in and out. I start with out because there's a lot of toxins in the natural breathing, we are doing unconsciously, right? Actually, doing breathing properly can help you lose weight. That's a course I'm working on, focusing on weight alone. People have tried all kinds of things. If you have tried different diet and work, great. If you have tried exercise like crazy, dieting from this one to that one to, there are so many different diets, right? And didn't work, or it goes yo-yo, like coming back and forth. Maybe there's a missing link, which is breathing. And it was, went really powerful in China in the late 80s. There were celebrities like anchor men, anchor women. There were, top scientists, who joined the program in a university in the top number one university in China. They did this, weight loss program as kind of like a scientific experiment. And the whole thing is not about diet. I mean, it involves fasting because fasting is great for your health because you have this time to trigger, to cleanse and trigger longevity DNA, right? But most people, if you just do fasting alone, it's miserable, right? It's hard. I mean, I heard a doctor who has a fasting center in California. And he said, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy because it's really miserable. And that reminded me I should share this with Western world because I almost forgot that people needed help in this. I thought you just go fasting and, come out a new person. But if you learn how to breathe, you don't feel the hunger, which is the miracle thing, right? You don't feel the hunger, and you also make the stored energy, including stored fat, in your body to work for you. So you are more energetic, not less energetic, right? You can, whenever I share this with people, I also do it with them. And I feel like I have to climb mountains to shake off the energy. Otherwise, it's shooting around in your body. It's too much, right? And which most people need. They need a higher energy without getting it from earthly food. We call that vigu. So pure breathing, of course, there's a way of breathing. I cannot teach this here because I have to get into this state of I cannot talk, number one. I have to get into a very deep meditative state before I start that special breathing. But, what I can remind people is to be aware how you breathe. Being out of breath when we are busy or we are running too fast is a sign that you are out of tune. You're not thinking of your breath. Certainly not thinking, am I in alignment with the universal breath, like cosmic breath, right? So that's when you naturally slow down, right? You naturally breathe deeply, slowly, and evenly. That alone can help you feel much better. And then you focus on your body part. Like what you said, Dr. Rak, that you do, check in with your body part. And we take our body so for granted all our lives in most cases, right? It's just there until we are sick. I say, oh my God, I'm going to die, or I'm going to have a short life. I feel terrible, right? And then you focus on your health and you drop everything. We go from one extreme to another, right? So when we are not sick, we are not necessarily healthy, but when we are not sick, we are so busy with making money without necessarily having good results, right? We are busy with a lot of things, right? But our health. But once we are sick, we drop everything. We drop everything. We are.
That's right.
But because we are so worried,
100%.
right? Even if we drop everything, we do everything the doctors tell us to do, we may not have the perfect result because we are so freaking out. We can't, properly focus on all aspects of well-being, right? And we don't know what to try. There are so many opinions, so many different ways we can't even try. especially alternative ways, because some doctors are actually threatening patients. You probably know this, Dr. Rak. Like, if you try
Yeah.
anything alternative, I'm going to drop you as a patient. Don't you dare to. I have students who come to me in secret. I go, oh, please make sure I no one knows that my oncologist would be so mad at me and stop treating me, because she would take it as like an insult for their ego. Like, how dare you cheating on me
Yeah.
by going to anything alternative, right? So that really is sad. A good doctor would say, oh my God, what did you do? You're supposed to die, but you
Yeah.
didn't. What did you do so I can share this with other patients, right? That's a real good doctor, a doctor who really want to heal people instead of for other reasons, But it's sad, but I'm happy to see more and more doctors are becoming very open to alternative ways of healing, including Qigong, yoga, and, many other things, Tai Chi, and many doctors are actually coming to learn themselves. Number one, for their own health. Number two, so they can share this with their patients. That's really, really good. That's really promising. We just had a World Congress Alternative Integrative Healing, including many modalities of alternative healing. And I saw so many medical doctors coming to share, what they have learned from Qigong, Tai Chi, yoga, meditation, and all that. That gave us hope as a society. Dr. Rak, when I meet you, I was very excited that, a medical doctor who has such an open heart, for true well-being for his patients. I was just so impressed how, beautiful and loving and kind you are towards humanity, especially your patients. We need doctors like this, not the ego, not the profit-driven. Of course, doctors need to, they deserve to be fairly paid, but not to have that in their mind all the time when recommending, ways for true health. Yeah, right? Yeah. So you give us hope,
No,
Dr. Rak. You and
that's
all
really
the,
sweet of you to say.
similar doctors. Yes.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Cathy.
Yeah, I agree with you, Cathy. I always tell them this is how it's really interesting. Since you brought it up, it's like when I meet with my doctors, I always compare our interaction.
Mhm.
Like this is how your relationship should be with a doctor,
Yes.
because you figure that your doctor is at least for me, it's like someone who is sort of like your cheerleader, like the person that's supposed to encourage you to become more healthy or
Right.
to take care of your well-being.
Right.
And definitely he sets the standard of now when I go and I talk to my, my personal doctor, it's like I compare it and I'm like, man, this is just not the way it's supposed to be,
Right.
because there's like invested interest
That's right.
that, Dr. Rock has in you to be healthy, So, but I 100% agree with you. I think Dr. Rock is such a great sort of model for how a health system should be when it comes to dealing with relationships with patients,
Absolutely.
And I had a questions regarding how old is the practice of Qigong? How old is
That's a
it?
great question. Qigong, the name Qigong is not old. So it's a new name, but people have been doing this in China and also India. I will tell you why India. India is not just the homeland for yoga, but also some of the styles of Qigong. Because in China, there are 3,000 styles of Qigong. 3,000. I'm sure it's more now. That was in a documentary in the mid-90s. So I would say the Qigong I practice has 1,400 years of history. And there are older ones with evidence. There are ancient books that were discovered from graves or whatever, and they have pictures and descriptions and everything. So people have been doing that as a very important way of healing and self-healing. So I'm very into empowering people to believe that you can heal yourself. You don't have to rely on a master, on a teacher, on a doctor. You need to maintain your good health. If you maintain, you don't need to worry about needing a healer or a doctor because you're healthy all the time and you can even help others. So one of the practices I do every day originated from an Indian prince who traveled to China 1400 years ago. And he went to meet with the emperor, and the emperor was a Buddhist, and he spent a lot of money and energy building Buddhist temples. So he thought he was a great Buddhist, right? So when he met wonderful Indian prince, he said, "What do you think of my merit?" Right? The Indian prince said, "Nothing." And the emperor was really mad at him. Well, he didn't go into the teaching like why I think you have no merit, because once you think you have merit, it disappears, right? So if that's why I never say, like I once saw this master, I don't want to say what country he's from, because I don't want to sound like a racist. So this master was demonstrating on stage, and here this student, right, a young American student, and he said, "Tell the audience how I saved your life," right? And the poor guy go, "Oh, okay, I was sick, I was going to die, you saved my life." That's such a low vibration, right? You can say how this practice helped you recover, how, because you are the one who had to practice. Even if you didn't do anything, you had to cooperate, right? And you never want to treat a person, talk down to a person as if you have no power. The power is all in me. I'm the master. I can heal you. I can, or I can make you sick again if you don't behave, right? That's a terrible way of using the power. Yes.
Cathy, that's how traditional, I mean, you know this, that's how traditional Western medicine is. Like the doctor is sort of the person who diagnoses you and then fixes you, right? And you have to, doctor's orders, like you have to follow doctor's orders if you want to get better. Like that's what you're kind of describing.
Yes. What's sad is, it's one thing if the patient doesn't listen to your order and gets sicker. And it's understandable. The doctor gets upset and say, "Hey, you behave. You do what I do. I tell you because I have experience, I have knowledge," right? But yet it's worse and unthinkable is when a patient gets better, but that betterment was out of the doctor's expectation. So I had this student who had cancer, very severe. It started with breast cancer and went into her other, parts of her body, went into her spine, So when she walked in, she couldn't stand, but couldn't even sit straight, right? So her husband moved her wheelchair in, and she had to lie down. I said, "That's okay. Whatever makes you comfortable, just do whatever." Now all the other students were looking at her. She was taking a large space, So she came, and she was also requesting to make sure she's not in the photos or videos or whatever. She was so afraid her doctor may get upset with her. Long story short, she was getting better and better. So finally, now she didn't need a wheelchair. She could come in independently. She was, happy, and she was a beautiful individual. And she came to tell me, and every class she came in, she would go to the store and buy a gift for me. That's just how happy, no matter how much I tell her, "Please do not, just come in and focus on yourself. I don't need anything, She go, "No, please take this scarf or take this pin or whatever." And she was just showing her gratitude. And then she came to me and tell me her doctor was really mad at her. And this is what her doctor said. She said, "By now, based on my experience, by now you should have collapsed. Like your spine should have been collapsed. You should not be sitting and walking and, and be so healthy. You must
Mm.
have done something behind my back. Tell me what you have done. I said, wow. So doctor is playing God. Like, you should die now. Why are you still alive? Right? And she was very afraid of her. She didn't have the courage to say, I need a different doctor. I need a different doctor who wants the best for me, not for your ego, right? So, I said, her, so she was very fearful because the cancer was in her kidneys. And by the way, all the bones in our body belong to the kidneys system too. And all of the water, we are made of water, right? Like over 60% of our body weight is water, right? So when you have cancer in that area, you naturally, have cancer eventually in the bones, especially the spine, inside the spine. So, our doctors really, at a minimum, should be happy for their patients' recovery, whether they did it based on your recommendation or someone else's, right? So that's really sad that they have to act like a cheater, I don't want to be caught cheating. I said, it's not cheating. You own your body. No one owns your body except you, right? You own your health. You own your well-being. You do whatever is good for you, not what other people say, no matter what authority they think they have over your health, right? So it's really amazing. And, in the old times in China, 2,000 years ago, a doctor would be so ashamed if they see the same patient again. They go, oh my God, I must have not done my job. So that's how much responsibility they took and how much they wanted to be preventative. Like, if you keep seeing the same patient again, of course, in the West, it's great because that's how money is being made, right? But it's not, that means the treatment didn't really work. And, we have a lot of medication that's supposed to be for life, right? If you have diabetes, you're supposed to take the drug forever, which is great for the pharmaceutical, but not great for the patient. In Germany, I didn't realize Germany was just so much more open-minded than we are here in the US. So my sister masters who was teaching the same school of Qigong told me this. So they had students who came in with severe diabetes, and through the practice, they were off. They were totally well. So they didn't need the medication again. So the patients went to their insurance companies and said, I think you should pay for my class, the tuition for my class, because do the math. If I'm on this medication for the rest of my life, how much would it cost you? And this class only cost me 200 euros or whatever it was at the time. And the insurance company thought, well, that's totally logical, right? That's good logic, right? So now I can, we don't have to pay this patient for this same drug for the rest of their lives. And so ever since then, they started to reimburse for classes like Qigong and other, classes that help patients get off whatever thing they have to be on for a long time. But in the US, it's very hard. It's very hard. And I don't mean to put the doctors out of business or the pharmaceutical out of business,
No, Cathy Po and I talk about this a lot, and it's these. In many cases, in most cases, these are very good people that are working in a system that is designed with these financial incentives that are perverse and that aren't in alignment with what's healthy and best for the individual, for the patients. And that's what creates this system. And I love that what you said, because I often point this out. We've never had more medications in human history, and we've never had more chronic disease in human history. So the medications don't treat the disease. they manage the disease, and they do so quite poorly, to be honest. And certainly people feel, I mean, if you want to talk about energy vampires, it's these pharmaceuticals that people are on
Right.
are energy vampires. And so
Yeah.
anyway, that
Well, that takes a lot. Even you are still a practicing medical doctor, Dr. Rak, and I salute to your courage and, honesty. That takes a lot.
yeah.
And
Not to say that and just not to say that medications don't have a
right.
place, they
Mhm.
definitely have a
Right.
place, and certain people need them at certain times. But to your point, like, we are in a system that's trying to empower patients so that they don't need medical
Right.
care. In fact, everything is built around making them basically
Right.
dependent on that
Right.
care.
Yes. Yeah.
And the reason why I asked earlier about how old, the practice
Uh-huh.
is because 1400 years, right? That's a long time.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how
Mm.
old the Western, you know what I mean? Ideology of, it's not as old as that. That's for sure. I know that, but
For
like
sure. Yeah.
this whole, yeah. So this is something that's the reason why I was asking is because it's such an old, practice that, and it's so old that it's now got different variations, to sort of suit certain people,
Yes.
So for me, it's like, and I think this goes back to lifestyle medicine, and this is what Health Feast is about, is that, this is a practice that doesn't require, medication.
Mhm.
Like it's not even and that's part of what me and Rock talking about.
Clear
Yeah.
side effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's all about lifestyle and what you're doing on a daily basis that sort of helps keep you healthy. So I
right.
just wanted to just make that note that, like, yeah, this is an old, and then like lifestyle medicine, I'm sure is very old too, like, yeah, in regards to like taking care of yourself through activity, connection, what is it,
Mhm.
meditation. There's all these different sort of pillars of lifestyle medicine, and then all this could definitely, it kind of is all the same thing
Right.
in a way.
Right. Well, in the West, it's really new. That brings me back to my why. Why that I teach Qigong in English only? Because I feel there are enough masters who are teaching it in Chinese, right? There are just not enough
Mm.
masters who are teaching it in English. And why I'm so passionate about helping the Westerners learn this energy practice. After my mom recovered from cancer, a few years later, I saw a movie from America. At the time, I still today, people love American movies, right? So the title is Love Story. I don't know if you have
Oh,
seen
yeah.
that. It's about a young couple in Harvard University, and the girl was from a middle class, kind of poor family background. The guy was from a very wealthy but unhappy family. The two fell in love madly, regardless of the objection of their parents. They got married. Unfortunately, the girl was diagnosed with cancer very shortly after they got married. They only enjoyed a very brief period of happy life, and she just died, right? So in
Mm.
the child's eye, once I learned that Qigong
Mhm.
could heal you, I thought, well, if I knew already, everyone in the world should have known already. I was a little child. I finally
Mhm.
learned, so I assume all adults knew about that, right? And when I was watching the movie, I said, "Oh, she didn't try anything. She didn't try anything. She just died,
Mm.
right?" I'm very
Mm.
empathetic. I pick up people's
Mm.
Yeah.
pain. I cried, and in the movie theater,
Mhm.
I was just so loud. People thought someone like stabbed me with a knife. I was just howling, and I cried. So, and then a few years later, I saw another movie. It's called Terms of Endearment. Jack Nicholson
Mhm.
was in it, So the young mother also died of cancer. Again, without trying anything. She just went to the hospital, and
Mm.
next thing you knew, she was saying goodbye to her children and she died. I said, how come she didn't try either? So by that time, I started to ask questions. I didn't keep it to myself. I said, teacher, why didn't they try anything? The teacher said, well, it's America. They don't know anything, I bet, about Qigong. If they knew, probably just a little bit. Majority of people, I'm sure they didn't know. So my teacher was right. Later I verified. So very few people even was aware of Qigong or other alternative healing. So I made a vow to myself. I'm the type of person who I don't promise anyone or anybody, anything. I just made a vow to myself. If I ever run into a Westerner who, as a tourist, come to China somehow, at the time, China was closed. There's no tourists. There's no leaving China or coming to China. There was a time period when the country was closed to the outside completely. So, but I thought if I ever run into a Westerner who come to China to visit, I'm going to teach him or her Qigong. So he or she could take this back home and teach the people there to stop this suffering, especially as a child, whose mom survived cancer. I could relate how horribly scared the children must have been, right? So to at least stop the children from the suffering of losing their mom at a young age. That thought was deeply, seated in me, but I didn't run into one, right? So I went on. I was a very good student, so I went on, being a good student, going to a good college, and I didn't do what I vowed to do in my head until at a job interview, the interviewer said, would you like to go to America to, have another degree? I said, wow, that never happened because most people apply first. I didn't even apply. I didn't even know they had a scholarship. So I said, okay, let me ask my, family to see if they're okay with it. They go, to ask your family, most people will say, yes, give it to me. I said, no, I'm very close to my family. I don't know if I want to leave them. America is so far away. So after talking with my parents, my sister, they go, yeah, go. You can always come back, but that's a golden opportunity. You should take it. So I came, and then I really enjoy being here. Everything, it just fits me as a spiritual being as well. It just, you can do so much in life, right? So I became a very good CPA and taking care of a lot of people and for their financial matters, help them achieve financial freedom. I really enjoy that. And then one day someone said, there's this wonderful Qigong master in Berkeley. You got to go see him. I said, why? I'm not sick. I'm healthy. I don't need it. Then I realized, wait, there's a reason, right? This person is telling me. So maybe it's time to, for me to pick up that vow and start helping people in that capacity. But in my head, I didn't think I would ever become a master per se. Say, I would just share whatever I know with people who need it, right? So I came to Berkeley and met this master who had helped millions of people heal, who happened to be the #1 Qigong rated in that documentary in the 90s. So I didn't realize that at the time. So we had a good connection, and he realized there was something in me that could be a master material, but he didn't say it to me. He said it to other students, So in 2010, out of the blue, without any warning, he announced to the public that I was the next master. I go, what? What? He said, oh yeah, she had passed all the tests. I said, what test? I didn't even know there was testing me, the whole time. There was a long list of things that masters, grandmasters test for new masters. He said, it's better that you didn't know, because if you knew, you would be intentional. Like you would, I said, I might have become intentional not to pass the test because I thought I didn't want to be out there because I'm truly an introverted person, not a, very outspoken person, kind of shy. I didn't want the attention to focus on me, He said, it's not about you. It's the message, it's your abilities. You have gained all the abilities. Now it's time to go out there to help people. And he said, well, if you don't want to do it, it's your karma. I'm out of here. So I always wanted to be out of, because he always wanted to go back to Asia. He felt like that's more of his home. Here there's a cultural difference. There's a language, problem. Yeah. So he just left, leaving me hanging. I'm like, and I had to follow divine messages. I start to get into deep meditation to ask the divine, what should I do? And he refused to give me directions because he said, your divine connection is very good. Your divine communication is very accurate. So just, ask. If you're not supposed to teach or take on the responsibility, don't do it. But it's your karma. If you do, you of course give the credit to the divine, and whatever good things happen. So I have never stopped. I have been doing this since 2010 as a master. Now I have always done the helping part since I was little, as much as it could do. And a lot of times people get better. And I thought, oh, maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe you are supposed to get better. Yeah.
So is there, with the qualifications of being a master, could you talk a little bit about that? Like, what is it, just like an extensive list of things that one has to?
He did tell me afterwards, I said, what are the tests I was taking? So first, your pure heart. Your heart has to be pure. You are not doing this for your ego to show to people like how powerful you are, which is good because I never thought it was my power. Anyway, I thought I was just channeling the divine power. Right. So you are not egoistical, right? You are loving towards people. You are compassionate. So compassion comes to you naturally, or you are compassionate. Like you are the embodiment of compassion and love and kindness without trying. Like I'm trying today. I need to, but you're just carrying that with you, and you have the healing capacity, right? So you hold people's hand, or even when you look at someone feels better. Sometimes the person can be really, really sick. Like in the case of a blind lady who had 2 cancers, severe diabetes. So when I was holding her hand with my right hand at the time, my entire right side of the body was in pain, like excruciating pain, because I was taking her energy to me without mentally doing it. I was just, loving her and, taking care of her. And I go, oh, I think I'm paralyzed. I couldn't move my, half side of my face. And at the time I was translating for the grandmaster, I said, I'm in pain. And it's like a really shocking, like a sharp pain. So he said, okay, you take a break. So, another translator who is my assistant now, she was also translating, and she's a pharmacist. A funny thing, she's a pharmacist for life, and she's retired. So, and I said, why am I being punished for trying to help people? At the time, I didn't understand. She said, no, you're not being punished, because the reason a lot of masters are so good is they went through the same pain. Some of them even almost died, right, from the sickness. But you have never experienced that, even though you are very compassionate, but you don't know what it's like to be sick or to be in pain. That's why the universe wants you to feel it. I said, okay, I feel it already. Can I go back to myself now? He said, no, you know how to do it. I said, no, I don't. He said, no, just do the Qigong that you have learned. I said, okay. So I did the Qigong and shook off the pain, and all the negative Qi from my body came back to myself. So
I was going to ask to that point. I was just going to ask you that the next question was, in a situation where you're around either you're in a negative place, a negative environment, around negative people. Are there any tips or steps that one can do to, I mean, obviously one should be in tune with their own energy, but for those who are sensitive into certain situations, do you have any tips for people that are in those situations?
So when a person is complaining about anything or anyone, right? So you have compassion for them, recognizing they have a issue with negative energy without being aware, without being pulled into their energy field, right? So you are giving them love without getting sucked into their energy, right? That's one way. But sometimes you go, oh, late. It's too late now. I'm already feeling it, right? I'm already kind of
Oh,
feeling sickly, right? So a
yeah.
quick thing you can do is you can use words and body motion together. You say cancel, cancel, cancel. So whatever energy you absorb from the person, you say cancel and delete, delete, delete. You don't have to say it verbally because unless you're alone, right? The person has left.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you start chanting. I think like, what are you doing to me?
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
You can use it mentally, right? And you can also, after the person has left, you can do this. You can just shake it off, because it's in your body already. You can feel it. It's you can say cancel, 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 delete, delete, delete. At the same time, you shake it off. Okay, you shake it off.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, you should do this every day. If you have been exposed to any negative energy, sick qi, which Dr. Rak has to be exposed to every day, even though you love your patient, you care for them, they have sick qi for sure. Otherwise, they wouldn't come to see you, right? So whether no matter how much you care about them, you carry that sick qi. That's probably one of the reasons a lot of doctors, like if a lot of cardiologists might, die of
They get heart
same
problems.
problem, right? Because you are carrying the same energy without necessarily thinking about it, right? And also you are thinking about that disease all the time. You're thinking about how to cure it,
Wow.
how to fix it,
Yeah.
right? So this might be of use to you, Dr. Rock, given what your wife is going through. So when she's visualizing, do not think I'm going to kill this cancer cell. I'm going to fight against it. Like fight, 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 right? We always say fight against cancer, right? So we say you visualize perfect health, like the breast without anything, any tumor, anything in it, right? You envision the end result instead of fighting against anything negative, because you're giving it, whatever you are fighting against, you're giving it more energy. Like right now, we have wars, right? So instead of fighting against violence, we say we stand for peace. We are advocates for peace, right? So you have that vision in your consciousness, in your heart, in your mind, in you. And even the way we communicate, avoid any negativity. Like you, as a parent, you worry about your children getting hurt, right? You worry about them getting sick. You worry about them growing fast enough. You worry about a lot of things. When they do grow too fast, you worry, oh my God, I'm not going to see them again. They go to college, right? You always worry. And when we worry, we always worry about something negative. That's how we never worry about something good, right? So it's always giving a lot of energy to the thing you don't want, right?
Yeah.
So always focus on the positive end result. You want them to be happy, to be healthy, to be learning, to be, curious. You want them to have all these things, not the not thing. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do, and it's a very important thing for parents because, the love for parents toward the children, in most cases, is unconditional and it's constant.
Right.
It's forever and ever, ever. Nothing can change that. But sometimes we give our bad energy to them without knowing it, thinking, that's because I love you. No, you love them then give them good vision, right? Give them good energy, give them good qi, right? So that's loving qi, right? So when I do healing, I never say, I'm focusing on this tumor, I'm focusing on your depression. I'm focusing on the perfect you, the healthy you. It's like you walk into a room which is totally dark. You say, let me fight that darkness. You start kicking the darkness. You just simply turn on the light, right? You turn on the switch and the light is on, the darkness just doesn't exist anymore because they cannot coexist. Same thing as love and hate. They cannot coexist. You say, I love you, but I hate you at the same time. That's impossible. Even though it could be dramatically expressed that way when lovers fight, right? But the same feeling cannot exist in the heart. The same time, same thing as health. The same thing as poverty, right? Energetically, you want to focus on abundance, focus on having everything you need instead of I don't want to be poor. You are focusing on the poverty, right? I want this. You focusing on already having what you need, and it really works. It's not just wishful thinking. On the surface, when you are so used to the way you think, right? You can say, oh, that's wishful thinking. I remember a beautiful woman who teaches something similar about money that I do, but she doesn't have a financial background. So she just say, you have everything you need. This worried audience, caller was on the phone. He said, I don't have this, I don't have that. I'm really worried. She said, you have everything you need. And he goes, awesome. Okay, yes, I do. And so he hung up the phone. And then 2 minutes later, he called back again. He goes, wait a minute. I still don't have everything I need. I don't have money to pay for my rent. What do I do? And the woman didn't have an answer for him. You go, oh, I don't know. You work it out yourself or whatever. So having that financial background allows me to verify what I teach from the energetic and spiritual side actually work.
Speak to that, because I was just going to ask, can you give us more examples of like how, your professional life and also on your practices, like how they merge and how you are able to leverage both abilities?
Yes. So it's funny, most people, if they claim being spiritual, they would be shy about talking about money or even feel ashamed, right? Like, oh, I don't care about money. I just do this for, for the goodness or whatever, right? So, but deep down, and then they feel poverty. They have to look for help, whatever. So money is simply a neutral energy like water. If you use the money for good, and money is wonderful. But if you use money to manipulate, to control people, to hurt people, of course, it's evil, right? So my financial background, first of all, I have observed my financial client. I observe the commonality of people who can easily achieve financial freedom and compare with those kind people who are struggling. Like, what is the difference? So it gives me a very solid platform, opportunity to observe the difference in their spiritual practice or in their habits, in their even their use of language, right? Like I have several doctors who would say, I'm a good doctor, but I'm really stupid with money. I said, stop it. You are not stupid with anything. You haven't learned enough about money. Let's clear that out, right? Let's start neutral and then learn a few things to do with money. So much easier than medicine, right? So don't say I'm stupid or anyone else is stupid, because stupid is a terrible energy, carries a bad energy with whether you describe yourself or anyone else, right? So when I was given the title master, I was really confused whether I should stop the financial side of the work and teach Qigong full time, or forget about teaching, and just do some random teaching and stay at my CPA work because I'm really good. I don't want to waste that knowledge. And finally, I can, help a lot of people. I just don't want to just give it up. Like if you hate their job, that's a perfect opportunity to leave it, right? But I love the end result that people achieve more than, the process per se, right? So when I was in a deep meditation, I heard this loud voice, like, money is one of the most powerful energy. Why don't you teach people about the energy of money? You know both sides of it, right? So a lot of people know one side, very few financial advisors or CPAs know the spiritual side of money, and very few spiritual people know the practical side of money. You're in the perfect position to teach people, right? How to bridge the gap and embrace abundance in all aspects of life. Not in a greedy way, but in a fulfilled way, right? So you have the tool to do what you are supposed to do in this lifetime without struggling. If anyone should have money, it's the spiritual people who are kind and loving. They really deserve to have more money so they can use the money as a fuel to help them fulfill their mission in this lifetime. Yet a lot of people don't, right? So a few things, like a few principles I can quickly share with you. Given the limited time.
Oh no, we don't.
You don't have a limited
we don't have a time limit. We don't have a limited time.
Rich, we have to go somewhere. This is getting good.
I'm all ears.
I'm all in with this part.
So, okay, good. Awesome. So divine protection. Having divine protection is so important. We don't have a whole day here, right? So I can tell you, at least you can, if you haven't learned anything about divine protection, I'm not talking about this religious or even spiritual faith, that God is always with me and God is helping me. God is. But a lot of people subconsciously, they don't believe that's true, right? They go, oh, yeah, I see that, but where's God when I'm suffering or when I'm, don't have this or that, right? So even if you have strong faith, this is different. This is a specific practice to get a celestial shield over you to protect you from negative energy. We used to teach this practice over an entire long weekend, like a 3-day weekend. Now I have learned to shorten it during the pandemic, especially to shorten it so I can teach it online without having people stare at the computer all day for 3 days, So I make it shorter and shorter and shorter. And it's still working really wonderfully for people. So on a daily basis, you invoke that shield to protect you. And there are spiritual people who are very intuitive with their third eye wide open. They could see the shield over me. They go, they don't know the name of it. They go, what is that cone over you? Like we could see the, so it's changing colors, and it can even protect people who are in the near neighborhood with me. If someone is trying to hurt you, you walk into my celestial shield and you're protected. And I have very interesting experience of people who are psychic, who could tell that they walk into my zone and their whatever spell stop working. Because they're playing with what they learn, on a human being, which is not ethical, by the way, And as soon as the person step into my shield, their witchcraft, in that particular case, the person was playing witchcraft on a innocent person, and it stopped working. And the person said, well, what is that over you? What is that? How did you stop my witchcraft from working? Yeah, it's really bizarre. I learned that because my teacher didn't even know it could work like that, even though the practice has a long history. So that's one thing. But as a new person in the audience, since you haven't come to the workshop, I can tell you, you can at least imagine you have this shield over you. Some people say it's an aura, but it's more than your aura. It's more than light. It can be almost like a pyramid in the structure, right? So that's one thing I spend a lot of time teaching. Another thing is feng shui. Feng shui is the energy in your environment, the qi in your environment. So most people talk about the yang feng shui, which is the visible feng shui, like how your furniture is placed. Like, for example, you should always sit or stand in the, commander's position. In other words, if the door is there, you sit here. You don't sit like against the door because the surprise energy might hurt you. You might be focused on your work and all of a sudden someone walks from behind you and startle you, right? Being startled is not good for your qi. All of your qi should be freely flowing in your body and around you. All of a sudden it gets, startled. You go, and if you're healthy, you might get over it. But if you keep getting startled, you might have health issues without necessarily knowing the connection between the two, right? That's just a simple thing. But the yin feng shui is more important. In Chinese means the invisible feng shui. And that's a bigger subject. That's, like 90% of importance than the yang feng shui. Yang feng shui, everyone is capable of learning. But yin feng shui starts from your heart. Like what I said earlier, what you think, if you're a positive thinker all the time, you don't have a problem. But if you're a negative thinker, you ruin the most important feng shui, which is the feng shui in your heart. You're always thinking negative. You're always thinking people are going to take advantage of you, right? You are always thinking, oh, maybe I'm going to have an accident today. Maybe I can get COVID today. You're always thinking that. And guess what? You are going to get it because you are adjusting your frequency to sickness, to accident, to bad event, right? So you want to intentionally adjust your thoughts, your words, of course, your deeds. When you're busy helping people, it's always a positive energy. When you are generous, you always feel good. You probably feel even better than the person who received your generosity, right? Because it comes from your heart. Love flows through your heart. That's why it feels so good. It's all part of the loving qi, and altruism is not out of date. People talk about self-love and they think altruism is out of date. The two do not have to conflict. Altruism, when you're working, I think that's one of the reasons my grandmaster chose me as the next master without me wanting to be a master, is because he said I was totally like forgetting myself when I was working in helping people. And I really was. I feel like, oh, where's my body? Sometimes it's like you're totally in the zone, in the flow of helping people. You forgot. Like if somebody calls you by name, you go, who is that? So it's kind of you check your ego self out of the door when you are in that kind of work, which is the most enjoyable state of mind, the state of being. And that's why you gain the abilities as well. I didn't finish the list you asked me earlier, like your pure heart, your ability to heal, and also your ability to teach. Because if you can't tell people how to do this, that's not that's not going to help a lot, right? And ability to change your environment. I mean, he actually set me up with negative environment intentionally. I didn't know it was intentional, but you have the ability to harmonize your environment. So at the minimum you can neutralize the negative energy, right? But the more you do it, the more you are able to turn a negative person into a positive person. And everybody is technically able to learn this. At the beginning, it might be too much for a new person to learn this. I would say walk away from negative energy politely. Say, I can love you from a distance, but no, thank you. I don't want to be in your energy, right? But as you learn more, you can actually manage to change your environment, even remotely. Even remotely, you can change people's. That's why I do, remote group healing. People receive pretty incredible results. As far as Europe, Asia, doesn't matter where they are physically. as long as they tune in, to the energy. Yes. So feng shui, divine protection, and also your deep-rooted beliefs in your subconscious, which we may or may not be aware all the time, right? So if we are not getting what we want, that we deserve, ask yourself what I really believe. For example, in abundance, I was raised in a family. My parents are loving, generous, kind people who didn't like money, and they associate money with greed. Like whoever has money is greedy, and even the money itself, don't touch that, it's dirty. So it took some work on that after I became aware of it, that my parents' work were not perfect, right? They did the best they could to raise me, but their belief system should not be my belief system. We should look at each belief. Some are really good. Some are not that good. Some are actually working against us, right? For example, prosperity. If you deep down, you affiliate prosperity with negative things, right? Things that you think is bad, such as greed, mean, like wealthy people are mean, wealthy people are greedy. And the universe say, oh, okay, I will make sure you're not wealthy, right? Because I'm good, right? Because the universe wants to make sure you stay good without getting those bad, right? And you said, oh, universe or God, why you're not fair? Let the bad guys, be abundant. Let me be struggling with money. So take that, examine each belief, write down everything. Like when you have time, write down everything. Like I have a list of questions for my students. So what is money to you, first of all? And people, that's a dumb question. That's just currency, whatever. I said, no, what it is really to you? To make you think about what money really is. And then what does, when you see a wealthy person walking and driving a fancy car or whatever, what do you naturally think immediately? Oh, show off, right? Jello, right? So I say, okay, I'm not a car person. That doesn't matter how much money I have, as long as it works, I'm okay. I'm but some people love fancy cars. Just let them be, right? Without judging them. So, if you don't like a big house, for whatever reason, don't have a big house, have a comfortable, cozy house, right? But don't judge people who have a big house with those negativity, those labels, right? So just good for you, bless you for, having it, right? And so the universe say, okay, I bless you with abundance for your liking, for whatever is important to you. You want health, you want everything. You don't just want good health and be poor, right? That's just not the honest answer. Even the most spiritual person, they still, if they don't make money, they ask for other people's kindness by no donation or not. Because the truth is we have to live, right? We have to pay for this, pay for that, right? And we want to pay for people who deliver excellent service or products to us. So those things, through a course of the program, whether it's an online course or ongoing monthly programs, I can see my students' answer becoming more and more positive. I mean, the first class is like, I hate money, all this hatred. I said, don't hate anything, okay? Because, the universe say, oh, honey, I love you. I will make sure you will never have money to hate, right? So, and then, I keep asking them to answer the same question. I say, I know you have answered this question before, but answer again so I can compare. And surprisingly, to their surprise and my surprise, their answers are becoming, from very negative to neutral and to very positive. Now, some of them don't even remember how negative they were before, not too long ago. And now, we have a lot of testimonials from students who have, surprise raises at work, like, oh, this, bonuses, for those of them who are self-employed, they have, on the same day, clients calling them, and some of them were even taking remote classes. Before the pandemic, I was teaching in person, but also we live stream so people from, other places can take the abundance workshop as well. And they were like, oh my God, my phone has been ringing off the hook, interrupting my I try to focus on my class. I said, that's a good thing. Don't say no, because the universe can't wait for you to receive a bonus. I mean, one student received like $30,000 on one day, from new clients that she did not even expect. So, it's kind of funny, but, the universe also has a way of knowing like what you really, really need now. We had a student from Middle East. She was wearing a scarf, totally covered with her face showing only. And she apparently had more than enough money-wise, right? Because she lived in this place. From her picture and her environment, one can tell, right? And she said, that's true, but I took the abundance class anyway because I just felt I needed. And she said, what I really needed without telling you was respect from my children and my husband. And my horrible skin issue that I have tried everything for 2 years, I couldn't heal. And she said, after the abundance workshop, guess what? My husband, all of a sudden, who had not shown any affection for years, was very loving to me. And my children started to be respectful. And she said, wow, that makes sense. But on top of that, my skin issue got cleared. I said, wow, that's how wonderful the divine is. The divine knows what you need. You didn't need more money. You needed health and happiness. And we all know abundance is never about just money. But certainly, I'm not shy about including money. Because that's also a very, you can say you're healthier, you're happier, but people can say, maybe you just feel better, right? Maybe it's here, right? But financial abundance is a hard fact, right? You either have it or you don't, right? So it's a good evidence if, for lack of other reasons to take it.
Well, Cathy, we'll definitely share all your
Okay,
websites
thank you.
and our links for the episode, and I'll share in my newsletter as well. And your website, your one website is cathymu.com, right?
That's more
And
like a
then,
hub in case people are searching under my name. It's not very active. We don't post a lot of things.
okay,
It's more like a connector.
that's right. But it links you to the Thriving
Correct.
Foundation, the thrivingfoundation.org,
Uh-huh.
which is where people can find out all about your online courses. You have workshops, like you said. You have these sort of programs, monthly programs. You even have a lot of free resources,
Right.
videos and audio recordings as well.
And I also offer
Yeah.
free remote group healing to the whole world that people can sign up for. Every time it's a different theme. It's connected to the season. Like this season is connected to the lungs and large intestine system. Negative emotion when you don't have a healthy lungs and large intestine system is sadness, grief, and depression. So that's the healing theme for health. But I also have a healing theme for abundance. Every time it's different. That has nothing to do with the season, but it's just so people get a healing for a different part of, the emotions and get a different transmission. Please do. At least, you kind of force yourself to meditate. I will send you instruction on exactly what to do, and like including what colors to wear. I mean, color therapy is important too, because different colors carry different chi, and what planets to connect with. It's all part of the, it's very holistic. It's not just like, most people think when they hear about Qigong, they go, I know what that is. It's just movement, breath, and meditation. I said, it is, but it is more. There's a lot more than that.
Incredible.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. We have one last question. So imagine, Cathy, you were coming to the health
Yes.
feast, and you're a guest. You are a guest at this health feast, but we're having a proverbial health feast. We're having all sorts of people, and we're asking everyone, instead of bringing a dish, they're going to bring their life philosophy or some way of living or a mindset tip. And what might Cathy bring? Cathy, what might you bring to the health feast?
Oh, I will bring a ball of loving qi.
Mm.
Love heals,
Mm.
right? Whether you have certain capability or not, that you are aware of. A lot of people do, but they don't know they have the ability to heal. But when you have love in your heart, it heals. So my advice is to be love. Don't search for love. Don't wait for love. Become love. Become the embodiment of love, compassion, and kindness. Don't judge people based on whatever you think is not good, right? Just love them.
Mm. Mm.
And you don't have to be loving everyone the same way as you love your spouse. Just send compassion and kindness towards each being, including animals, and plants, even crystals have consciousness, right? So be kind, be aware of what you say, turn the conversation into the conversation of love instead of gossip, because, you go to a party, you hear people all of a sudden for no reason started to gossip about people and you instantly feel sick. You instantly feel like, why am I wasting time here, right? We are all busy with our lives, right? We want to learn and grow and love and make the world better, make everything better than it was before without imposing. Like Western culture places a very important value on free will, right? That's something I had to learn. I came from Asia. We didn't have so much free will per se. We thought everyone wanted to be healthy, happy about it. That was a big assumption, which is true, especially when it's free. Like, why do you want it, right? So when I offer that, I was warned by a Western doctor, actually, Dr. Rak. I don't know if you know him or not. He said, Master Mu, I have to remind you, in the West, people, it's a big thing. They'd rather die than having their free will taken away. So when you do the healing, because we not only I did a lot of group healing, I always invite my students who were with me at the time to do the group healing together for the people who are in the disaster areas, whether it was a flood, earthquake, or fire, or pandemic, or war now. It was just natural, and I wanted them to see how to do it as well, to learn, and the result is often amazing. I mean, you would see on the news, all of a sudden people stop, certain violent acts. All of a sudden, the fires start, the rains. I mean, in one instance, the Australia fires, right? Remember there was horrible fire?
Yeah.
And out of the blue, the next day it started to rain and pour. So then the forecast did not have any humidity in the forecast. It just came, So it does help. So my student, the doctor said, from my experience, he was almost sued by a patient who said, how dare you try to take the pain away from me? I need it. I said, wow. So he said, you have to have permission. I said, how do you get permission from people who are in the disaster zone, right? who can reach you, who has no internet, right? So, but from time to time, I have to remind myself, respect people's free will, love them, but without doing things for them without their permission. And so that's hard because my nature is to give, to love, to heal all the time. But, I have to hold myself a little bit to say, okay, hold on a second. Did you ask for permission? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I just have to say, I felt this energy from you. There's moments or times when I meet people and I can it's almost like a jolt of energy. And I felt that when I met you. I probably had entered your shield and wasn't sort of understanding what I was feeling and was sort of just energetically then drawn very quickly. And I said, well, this is a conversation we need to have together with my friend Po. And so here we are. And I have to say, this has just been incredible. Like, is like putting it lightly, like just from hearing that incredible healing story that touched your mom and touched you. I mean, saved your life as well. And then how energy has sort of guided your life. Like, it guided you to the United States. It guided you to that teacher in Berkeley who was actually testing you unbeknownst to you. You know, he needs a discussion about free will
I know.
too. And then guided you to this whole, worldview on abundance that I think from a young age you said, why don't they know this? They don't have to suffer.
Yeah.
They don't have to die. They don't have to live in lack. They just have to learn this. And your story and your journey is so inspiring. And I know you're just continuing to put this amazing energy into the world. And we're very lucky to have a part of that in our lives now too.
I'm very honored to have met both of you, Dr. Rak and Po. Just amazing, beautiful souls. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Cathy. I don't think I could say anything else. I think Rock kind of put it all to you right there. And I just feel like walking away from here, I'm like, or at least when I'm done with our conversation, I just feel like you have a very welcoming energy. You know what I mean? Like even when we, got on, I had never seen you before. So when I was able to see you, I was like, wow, there's something about there is. And then as I mentioned your background, as I was looking at your background, I was like thinking, man, this is very relaxing. So, but thank you very much for all the information. I got to learn a little bit more about this practice and yeah, just something that I'm interested in learning a little bit more about it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please check out the resources which we have a lot, and let me know what I can do for you, both of
Okay.
you.
We would love to attend,
Yeah.
a workshop or
Uh-huh.
something of yours. And I don't know, we'll have to talk about when we can do
Yeah.
that. That would be incredible.
Yeah.
So if you are interested, if you wanted to do energy healing transmission online like this, I'd be happy to do one for you or more. Because like this season, not today, but maybe next one, we can focus on healing the lungs and large intestine, especially emotionally for depression, because that's a huge thing. Globally.
It's so interesting that you said that, because Po and I both, that's something Po and I both struggle
What
with.
we do.
And I don't know, you didn't know that,
No. Yeah.
but you did know that somehow on an energetic level.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I decided to offer, and I often decided to offer something, and some people in the receiving end will say, "Oh, did you know?" Because some of the issues might be a little too personal, like incontinence. Like, how do you know? Oh, like that is so embarrassing. I said, nothing is embarrassing. It's your body. It's healing. They would tell my assistant. I always wanted to ask her if she had a way to help me with that, but I was too embarrassed, did she know? Did she pick it up? Why did she teach that practice today? I said, okay, to me, we shouldn't be embarrassed about any healthy issue, physically or emotionally or spiritually, or mentally, right? It's all part of us, right? And we are also part of each other. When we have time later, I'd be happy to talk about the principle of taking full responsibility. If I run into this person, your problem becomes mine. Not like I'm to blame in that kind of way, but I'm taking responsibility for what I can do for you. If I didn't know about it, well, I don't have a responsibility. If I do, then, then I would do everything I can to help. Yeah.
Which is interesting how you mentioned that a couple times, and I know Rock heard it, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. Depression, because that's something for sure. We talk about it all the time, in our podcast, but also on the phone, when we're, going through ups and downs with life. But that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I think like maybe that's, part of the reason why you were on here today. You
That's
never
right.
know, I mean,
You
why
never
not?
know.
Yeah. So at the last World Congress on September the 30th, that was what I presented. Healing depression with Qigong and other alternative remedies. Because
Okay.
the
Wow.
number is very alarming. That, I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of people don't report. They just take action, to hurt themselves or to, suffer.
Yeah.
I know in Asia, very few people would go to a doctor, even tell them I have depression. They might not even know. Like something's wrong with me.
Right.
I'm this unhappy person
Right.
nobody wants to be around with, But they don't acknowledge that. In the West, at least people recognize it and take shame. They say, okay, I'm taking antidepressants, so what, right? So they take some measurement, but as you probably know, Dr. Rock, antidepressants, I would say it's wonderful if you can get out of bed, take some antidepressants to get out of bed. Then do whatever natural remedies. Take a walk, do Qigong, take some herb, to minimize the side effects because it's really hurting the brain. NYU Medical Center did a study on the side effects of antidepressants. It's quite something that we need to be aware of so we don't take as a habit, like just popping pills, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's probably a conversation for another
Right.
time for sure.
Absolutely.
It would be incredible to explore
Yeah.
that mental health and depression. And
Yeah.
maybe before that, Poe and I can attend a workshop and learn more and kind of get into how we use energy and how we use our own
Yeah.
wisdom
Yeah. It's
to
all
heal
in you. You
ourselves.
just need to activate,
Yeah,
the
that's
wonderful
right.
chi in you and get connected with the divine energy. And it's amazing how much better you feel and how much easier life gets in achieving our life goals, in having better relationship, having more abundance. They all go together, shouldn't be separate them. Like we work on our life goals, compartmental, we
Yeah.
compartmentalize everything.
That's
I'm
Right.
right.
working on
Yeah.
this, I'm working on that. But we can
Right.
work on everything together using qi.
Right.
You infuse qi
Right.
into everything you do with some few simple practices. They are powerful, but very simple. And my mission is to make them even simpler and shorter.
I
Because
love
people
that.
say, it's wonderful way I do it, Master Mu, but I'm sorry, I got busy. I have, company. I have, on top of my life, I have company
Yeah.
who are visiting and I didn't do it for a week. I said, don't feel guilty. Let me teach you a few quick things that you can do within a minute or two. Then you
Wow.
don't feel guilty. Yeah? Or you
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
I'm off the wagon again and then forget it. I'm just not doing it. Right. So just incorporate, even when you use the bathroom, there are things you can do. I mean, right? You can even urinate in a Qigong way to be healthier rather than just randomly looking at your phone. Like people are just looking at their phone
Yeah.
all the time, right? And you can just, the way you breathe and how your teeth touch each other, it's all Qigong. It's, people say, how often should I do Qigong? I said, well, there's very few time you don't do it. Otherwise you'll be dead. But you don't
That's
know
interesting.
it. You just need to adjust it to be
Mm.
proper. So you are at your best.
This transmission you talked about and how you then and all of us really have this capability of changing the energy, not just within us, but around us. And so hopefully I feel it. Poe, do you feel? I
Yeah.
feel the energy within
Yeah.
me has definitely elevated and changed as a result of this conversation. And I'm hoping that's true for everyone listening.
Yeah.
And we're just really grateful that we had this opportunity. Thank you so much,
It's
Cathy.
Yeah. Thank you.
delightful
We look,
being with you.
yeah. Look
Yeah.
forward to having you again, actually. There's so much more to talk about.
Thank you. Thank you. Next time I will
Sure.
do an extra healing for the
Okay.
areas you need
That's
the
right.
most.
Thank you all for listening or watching. And as a reminder, you can visit thehealthfeast.com where you can sign up for our newsletter. My newsletter, new newsletter, is called Rock On.
I love the
And
name.
also leave a Cathy, you signed up
I
today. I
did.
saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every Monday. And you can ask a question or leave a comment for me and Po. And we're just really appreciative to all the people out there who are listening, the ever growing number of people out there who are listening. And thank you so much.
Thank you.